What is up, Ravens flock? This is Jordan with Ravens Flash Report. Today we're going to be sort of getting into some silver linings, some realistic takes for the game that the Ravens lost at home this past Sunday against the Browns, 33-31. So, while yes, there are bad things that happened in this game, some things that the Ravens would obviously want to have back, both coaches and players, and we'll talk a little bit about those. My main focus is the positives, not because I want to cheer myself up, but this fan base turns very negative after a loss. Now, that comes from being a very proud fan base, from knowing that you are a good team, that you are a competitive team, and you strive to have better games than what we had on Sunday. But I'm here to tell you that not everything in that game was bad. This is not the same type of game that we had against the Colts or the Steelers. So, getting into the negatives for the Ravens side, yes, Lamar had some bad throws. He overthrew Flowers on what would have been a touchdown, and the picks that he had were just bad throws. They were. That was on Lamar, and I definitely feel like the interception that was returned for the touchdown in the fourth quarter, I feel like that was him trying to force it. Obviously, he's running out of the pocket. His O-line did not protect him that much in that game, but again, you're going against a good defense. Mitchell's usage was another issue that not just myself, but almost everybody in the fan base has reacted to. 3 carries and 2 targets. And on those 3 carries, 3 for 34 and 1 touchdown. And one of those was a long of 39. So that obviously shows you that he got taken down for a loss. And he had 1 reception on 2 targets for 32 yards. So yeah, his usage was indeed a problem. Or lack thereof, to be honest. We also, in general, did not run the ball enough. We only ran the ball 24 times. That included Lamar's carries and Justice Hill, who had 2 touches. People calling for Justice Hill to not get any runs at all over Keaton Mitchell. It's just ridiculous. It's stupid not to use all of the running backs you have in the stable. It's not because Keaton Mitchell is so good that Justice Hill all of a sudden is just a trash football player. Nobody was saying that at the end of last year, and nobody was saying that during the middle of this year. Was the fumbles at the mesh point a problem? Yeah, but that was not an issue today, right? Injuries also played a role. You have Marlon Humphrey go down. You had Zeitler go down for a while. You had Stanley obviously leave the game, and that played a huge impact on an already beaten-up offensive line that was getting taken to the woodshed by this Browns defensive line. Let's talk about what the Browns did good. They played well on defense all game. Lamar got sacked 3 times, but if you were watching the game, it felt like more than that. The Browns offense played well in the second half. Deshaun Watson, while having a horrible first half, it was like 2 Deshaun Watsons. It's like getting hurt actually helped him. I thought he was going to leave the game. Thought it was going to be a PJ Walker walk in the park after that. But he came back and he played stellar. I can't stand Deshaun Watson as a person, but you have to say objectively, if you're a football fan, that he played one hell of a second half. And that's just it. He threw all over the Ravens. He was dicing them up. Now, a couple of positives that we are going to talk about here, and we'll get into more of this, but the Ravens still lead the AFC North. They're still the 2nd seed in the AFC overall. We're 7-3. The Ravens also scored 31 points through offense and defense. So it's not like one of these games where we came out against the Steelers and scored 10 points. We scored 31 points. And we did have some very good drives, some very effective drives where players had good execution. You saw the Odell Beckham 40-yard touchdown. You saw the great run by Mitchell. You want to see more of that. The defense produced 4 sacks and 2 turnovers. I mean, even Roquan Smith had 21 tackles. 14 of those were solo. Obviously, Kyle Hamilton, shout out to him. By the way, guys, do not go on the Ravens subreddit after a loss. It is the most toxic environment ever. There's people calling for Lamar's job. There's people calling for John Harbaugh pretty much every day, win or lose. But do not go there after a loss. It's just horrible. Also, guess what the Ravens didn't do yesterday? They didn't fumble the ball. That's right. For the first game the Ravens have played throughout 10 weeks of this season, they did not fumble the ball. And they still lost. Now, everything that the Ravens and Browns did was in the scope of the possibility of what they could do. And what I mean by that is, Browns, when they came into this game, everybody knew their defense was good. The question mark was the offense, and they stepped up and they played a great game. Right? The Ravens, coming into this game, everybody knew what they could do offensively, and people knew what they could do defensively. They've also seen the bad side of that. We saw the 17-point fourth quarter by the Arizona Cardinals. We also saw, as I stated earlier, we saw the 10-point game against the Steelers. So we know the offense can be bad. We know the defense can give up some points at the end of the game, especially if the offense is losing drives, right? It doesn't help when Lamar gets sacked and then throws a pick, or pick six, something like that, and penalties. We still had 7 penalties. But the Browns also turned the ball over twice. One of them went for a pick six, we mentioned earlier. The other was the muff punt by James Prochet, which I feel so bad for that guy. But it was a muff punt that ended up in a Gus Edwards 1-yard touchdown run. So we got points off of their turnovers. If the Ravens had won this game, Browns fans would be talking about how they gave the game away. More so than the Ravens did. The Browns only got 6 points off of the Ravens' 2 turnovers. And that was from a pick six and then a failed kick. So we got 14 points off turnovers, and they got 6. They also had 10 penalties to our 7. So they shot themselves in the foot more than we did. Now, was play calling an issue? Absolutely. But the Ravens didn't beat themselves. They got beat by the Browns. And I don't know whether you take that as a positive or a negative, but that is what it is. This was not the same as the Colts game or the Steelers game. Now, the Ravens can and will bounce back from this loss. And to be honest, this loss might be a wake-up call for them. Our defense can be better. Look at how they responded after the Cardinals loss, right? They collapsed in the fourth quarter, turn around against the Seattle team that had been running the ball really well. They had weapons all over the place, held them to 151 total yards. Our offense has the ability to learn and adjust as well as they did. They've shown that before. We had a kind of a meh game against the Titans, a very vanilla type of game against the Titans. We come home, people are like, oh, I don't know about this Ravens team. And then we destroy Detroit. So we know what this offense is capable of. We know what this defense is capable of, both positive and negative. So nothing that they did on Sunday is like something it's extreme cause for alarm or out of the norm. Right? We're 7-3. This loss does not change how complete and competitive this team is. Was it a loss? Yes. Does it destroy our chances of getting into the playoffs? No. Does it end our season? No. The Ravens can and will bounce back from this. I still think they're going to win more games by the end of the season than they'll lose. Look at the Jags on Sunday. They got blown out. They got destroyed by the 49ers. That's not something a lot of people were expecting. They were expecting a close game. Jags are a good team. The Chiefs, they were off this week, but they got destroyed by the Broncos. Divisional games are different, guys. Divisional games are tough. These teams know each other very, very well. The Browns learned from their blowout loss earlier, and they kept the game close. They kept it to where they could get that kick at the end. The Ravens led the game for 59 minutes and 57 seconds. And the Ravens have had games like that too, where they've kicked it at the end. Ask Detroit. The Eagles lost to the Jets. If you haven't checked out my video that I did on the NFL and consistency, please go check it out. I cite all of these things on there. And stuff like this happens. Games like these happen. And I'm not just quoting John Harbaugh here, but I'm glad that this team is more mentally tough than this fan base is after a loss. Anyway, if you've made it this far into the video, I appreciate you guys listening to it. It's not easy to have a loss, especially when you have a good competitive team like this. And I don't think this video is going to get a lot of views, a lot of likes, a lot of shares. That's fine. I needed to get my views out there. I needed to get my opinion out there because I don't want to simply not give you guys content to look at and to listen to after a loss. But this team is going to bounce back. We'll do a preview coming up of the Bengals game. And, I think they'll be better. I do. I think they'll be better. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, guys. Well, stay positive. This is a good team. And I know you're like me. You love the Ravens. So be hyped for the game against the Bengals. Be hyped for them to come back from this. And I'll see you guys all for the breakdown there and the preview. Till then, like and subscribe if you haven't. And stay safe out there. Bye.